Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are having a fantastic day. So today's upload is going to be a video talking about a pattern change that will be occurring before the upcoming heat wave. So if you recall, I made a heat wave a video yesterday, and I was talking about that. That's going to be occurring next week, but through the rest of this week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, into the weekend, and beginning of next week, there will be a really stark change of temperatures. It will be cool, and many of you probably already felt it across the eastern United States. That's due to the tropical storm Cristobal or its remnants mixing with another storm across Canada, becoming pretty powerful and bringing down cold air from the Arctic. Okay, so this is definitely something that doesn't happen on a monthly basis. And it's kind of a meteorological event that's seen not that often. So we'll be talking about that. And it will be bringing fall temperatures in June, which is very cool to see. And if you guys would like to consider subscribing to this channel, I do all sorts of weather-related content, so that'd be awesome. If you could like the video, if you're a supporter of this channel, that'd be awesome as well. If not, perfectly fine. So let's look at the GFS model, Global Forecasting System. This is Thursday, June 11th, so which is today. And you can see that there is some chilly air across the United States, but it's not really, it's not cold or chilly. I would say it's closer to average than cold. And that was the first cool off, right? But then notice there's a big reservoir of cold air to the north in Ontario and Manitoba and Saskatchewan. And this is all going to be coming in through around tomorrow, mainly tomorrow for a good portion of the United States. Notice that it's cold across the south as well due to that storm bringing in already a first wave of cool air, which happened behind Cristobal initially right there. But it really brings down the second wave pretty sharply, and you can see that the temperature anomalies across areas like Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, UP of Michigan, eastern North Dakota, New York, upstate New York especially, Pennsylvania, and into Vermont and New Hampshire, seeing some cooler temperatures. And these temperatures will make things feel cold, just downright cold. Well, maybe not cold, but chilly for sure. There could be a few readings into the 50s across the north, maybe into the lower 50s. I know here in Chicago it's going to be the mid to lower 60s, so that is pretty unprecedented for June. That is very, very chilly. And you usually need some sort of big system to provoke such cold air to come down, and that was with the remnants of Tropical Storm Cristobal. It's directly 100% correlated with that. So this is, it's a pretty cool and unusual occurrence, and you can see that it continues. It doesn't go away. Sunday, you can see it's still maintaining itself across the eastern United States, below average across much of the United States. You got obviously Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, and it still extends off into the north. But you can see some warmer air starting to come in towards the west. And then eventually the warmer air does come in, but you can still see Monday still relatively chilly across the United States. Even into Tuesday. Wednesday, it starts pushing away, and we start seeing cold air to the north and west. But it's definitely starting to break down, and we start seeing, then we just start to see that heat wave potentially, which could be very warm. But then possibly another Arctic cool off. But this is definitely something that doesn't happen often. These sustained cool breaks during the summer, and you need some sort of large system, like I said before, in order for this to occur, which in this case was Tropical Storm Cristobal remnants. Let's look at the actual temperature. I showed you the 2-meter temperature anomaly, which shows you where it is above or below average marked on the temperatures. Now it shows you what the actual temperatures are, and you can see based on the readings from the north, this air is downright chilly. It's 30s across much of the northern, much of the extreme northern U.S. And into southern Canada. You can see that this brings definitely 30s into parts of the Arrowhead of Minnesota and the UP of Michigan. But in terms of the U.S., you can see that it's a fine line between the 60s, 50s, and 80s to the south. And this continues spreading to the south. Saturday, you can see the 60s are widespread across the United States, especially in the northeastern United States, if you will, including the northeast. It's definitely chilly, and the south isn't warm either. It's 85, 84, which seems warm, especially to us northerners, but that's relatively, not chilly, but it's below average. Normally, if this was a warm June, it would be possibly in the hundreds and 90s. 70s. So this is definitely a pleasant cool off. You can see during the nights it gets pretty chilly. It gets 50s and 40s, definitely some 30s, probably in a few isolated locations in higher elevations. Definitely not out of the question. And then you can see Monday, this is Sunday, very chilly as well, 60s and 70s, which is stark contrast between the possible 90s across the plains. Okay, and notice that the northwest is also below average. And like I said, this will be going on for quite a while. Monday still chilly. Okay, Tuesday starts coming back, but chilly across the North Carolina area and Virginia area. And then we start getting towards the heat. Not oppressive though. You can see 70s and 80s, and it's only later on where it gets kind of in the uncomfortable range. But again, this is a really going to be a pleasant cool off for much of the United States. And it's not just the GFS that shows this, it's the European as well. Let's look at this. You can see the European shows this giant storm, which was mainly to do with Tropical Storm Cristobal. As all low pressures in the northern hemisphere spin, you can see that its wind field, it was absolutely huge. If you recall, it was very windy. There was wind advisories across a good portion of Illinois, Indiana, Michigan. And you can see that its wind field is very, very large. That's why it has the power to bring down the colder air. And that's exactly what it will do. And if you were to look at the temperatures, you can see there's that defined dip in the heights, which means the cooler temperatures. The warmth stays to the south, and you can see that it stays for quite a while, chilly like that. And the heat kind of has a trouble making it in, but eventually it does. And we'll have to see, what the pattern after that holds. But it looks like a period of cool weather, then warm, and then after that, it's a bit of a mystery. It could either maintain its warmth or another cool down could come. Okay, if you were to look at the GFS, the ensemble models, which isn't just one model, it's more of a combination of models, so I guess it's more averaged out. It's a more, I guess a better look. You can see it shows below average across much of the eastern United States come this weekend, and it maintains it, and it moves it down to the southern U.S., while the northern possibly kind of like this weird corridor, which stretches from the upper plains into the southwest, becomes warm, and this moves to the east. And as it moves to the east, the cooler air kind of starts getting pushed away. And if you were to look at this, you could see it still is very reluctant to go away, that cooler air, but eventually that warm air does dominate, and it looks as if it's lacking of cool air, maybe across the central part of the country, but it's definitely not as resounding as the cool air brought by Tropical Storm Cristobal, which is shown right here. Let's look at the EPS ensembles, the European ensembles. You could see much of the same thing. A very chilly air for a while, and then the heat comes back, and we'll have to see what happens after that. That's basically as far as it goes. So cool and heat, those are the first phases. If you're wondering when that cool air ends, for most, I would say Tuesday and Wednesday. For the northern U.S., I would say probably Monday or Tuesday. As it will warm up quicker across the northern U.S. and the southern U.S. as this moves to the south. And you can see that in the southeast, it actually stays below average probably until late next week. So that's going to be a relief. But notice otherwise the warmth, you can see, makes a pretty nice comeback. And whether you like that or not is up to you. Let's look at some of the NAM 12KM model, and let's see what it shows. This is a more high resolution model, and we can look at this since this is going to be happening in the near future. You can see right after the storm passed through, you can see that there was a cool air mass, and that really brought in quite a bit of cool air and a relief. But as soon as the warmth starts rising across the west and into the southern Canadian plains, the cool down right here across the Great Lakes just explodes, and you can see it's some pretty darn chilly air, and you can see that it extends across much of the eastern United States and into the northeast Monday, still having a hard lock on it. And into parts of the northwest will be chilly as well, but this heat is kind of locked in this weird position, so it just starts really building. That's why it could get very hot after this. But for the meantime, it's going to be very chilly. If you were to look at the NAM 12KM, right here it shows some very below normal temperatures. This is probably in the 50s and 40s. So this is pretty uncalled for. You can see there's probably going to be some frost right here across Lake Superior, some freezing temperatures. So that's, that's definitely unusual, really unheard of at this time of the year. Typically, in a typical year, you can see the northwest also seeing quite a bit of cold temperatures. They'll also be seeing snow. They did across the mountains of Colorado with the past system that just occurred. So I guess if you'd like to call this, spring definitely still has a control over parts of the United States. and it will maintain its kind of chilly grasp at times. Though I generally think that summer will still be warm. It will be filled with like these Arctic shots, kind of like these little cool downs that will cool things off quite drastically. Though I do think that the warmer months will probably be July and August and September. June may be a little bit chillier because of the outbreaks like this that's occurring. If we were to look at the 8 to 14 day outlook, I said that there's going to be a cool off and then a warm up, and this is kind of that phase already after that warm up. And you can see that the National Climate Prediction Center is more favored towards warmth, though it's definitely not excluding the cooler temperatures possibly across the northern U.S. You can see that the warmth isn't really beaming. It's not overly confident. It's the lightest shade right here for a good portion of the U.S. So they're not confident either what's going to happen, just some mixed signals. But for the 6 to 10 day outlook, which is right after that cool down, they're showing above average temperatures across the U.S. And this is into Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, stretching all the way down to the southwest and into the northeast, while it's cooler across the Montana, Idaho, kind of like that northwest region. Not really the Pacific Northwest, but more like the western central United States. Western northern central United States. So that's basically the best way to describe it. And so in terms of precip, you can see it's going to be a bit drier across the 6 to 10 day outlook. And let me tell you that for right now, to the 6 days, it's going to be almost precipitation free for a good portion of the United States. The precip makes a comeback hopefully around mid to late June, but at this point it does look pretty dry. It doesn't look like it'll be too wet, so that's also kind of a bad thing. But again, it's been wet, so it's not going to cause a drought, just a little spell of dryness. For those areas where it is dry, that may make it worse. But a few areas have been really dry this spring, other than the tropical Gulf Coast. But and there's a few other areas I'm missing, obviously. But I would also, like to point out that it's gonna be cold, or it's gonna be dry, but at least this period is gonna be cool, so it's not gonna, dry everything up. So at least that's a good thing. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next episode. See ya. Bye.